change the people around me. I change the people around me. Some don't know what's up. Shades are just fucked up. They don't know what's next. Generation wrecked. See, I'm hanging like Sam Seven to all you Johnny-come-latelys who didn't recognize how great and clever some of these rhymes be. Been quick, been flowing over domes, mad vocab to silly crabs. Before metaphors be passing your ass like taxi cabs. Hit my toll-free number to hear the bombs I drop. 1-800-764-5321. You don't stop. I need my noise like Patrick and Barkley needs rings. Like Griffey gets swings. First time rhymers play me off like Sacramento Kings. 9-6, I move my rhymes with the times. With no crimes or pantomimes. Great pretenders or spenders. 20 years, got mad tears, leaving tears in their beers. From the rear, old school getting ears, you getting scared. It is on and 3 steps ahead. Hot topic, shock in the house full of head. Getting burned while you learn on a hospital bed. Mad kids never checking for what I said. Jack be quick, Jack be nimble on the brain. I'm staying simple, but the sound remains insane. Same mad pain, no game, getting ghetto on the tables. No stories, no fables, relax, I'm Cinemax to the blacks. No cable, round and round, here I go, putting this sound down. But some of y'all got fears and scared to get down. I can't change the people around me. I change the people around me. If I can't change the people around me, I change the people around me. Some don't know what's up. Shit is just fucked up. They don't know what's next. Generation wrecked. Some don't know what's up. Shit is just fucked up. They don't know what's next. Generation wrecked.
Or responsibility.
If the so-called Negro in America was truly an American citizen, we wouldn't have a racial problem. If the Emancipation Proclamation was authentic, we wouldn't have a race problem. If the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution were authentic, we wouldn't have a race problem. If the Supreme Court desegregation decision were authentic, we would not have a race problem. But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy. These Negro leaders are running around telling the white man that everything is all right, that we got everything under control, that everything the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches is wrong. But I'm telling you, Mr. Muhammad said these things were going to come to pass, and now these things are starting to come to pass. Now these same Negro leaders are running around talking about there's about to be a racial explosion. Yes, there's going to be a racial explosion. And a racial explosion is more dangerous than an atomic explosion. There's going to be an explosion because black people are dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied not only with the white man, but with these Uncle Tom Negro leaders that are trying to pose as spokesmen for you and I. Just like you have a powder keg. When you have a powder keg and there's too many sparks around it, the thing's going to explode. And if the thing that's going to explode is sitting inside the house, and if it explodes, then the house is going to be destroyed. I said the house is going to be destroyed. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is trying to tell the white man that this thing, this explosion is going to bring down his house. This is what he's trying to tell him. And more importantly, he's trying to tell him that if he doesn't do something about it, it's going to explode any day now. That's right. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Message sounds pretty clear to me. Good evening. It's Thursday night. Welcome back to the No PC show. Glad to see you back in the place. Then drop the kid off to college. Now it's time to get back down to business here. Name of the show tonight is called Must Be the Money. And I played that clip from the Malcolm X movie. They'll probably try to ban it on Facebook. You know how that, on YouTube. They be catching everything, even though you get it off YouTube. But anyway, must be the money that keeps us quiet as we're on the brink of the NFL season starting, and the discussions continue on watch the NFL, don't watch the NFL, protest this way, protest that way. I love football. I can live without football. But it's really, really not so much about football, but about America. It's about black people and what does our future look like? Now, every show I used to ask a question at the end of the show. How are you going to survive? How are your people going to survive? How's this country going to survive? We're in a country right now that is clearly showing the divide, regardless of what we're seeing on TV now with the Houston situation. And that's great because we're not the monsters that they try to make us out to be. We believe in humanity and treating everybody equal. Black people did not bring racism into this country, as they claim. Obama is the one that has flamed these racial tensions in America now. Like they didn't see Donald Trump on TV for the last year acting a complete fool at his rallies, kicking people out, offering to pay for legal defense, being defiant and when he was called to the carpet about his racial things. I paid the money, let's move on. This country just said we'd rather have an idiot in the White House than an educated black man. They're acting like he inherited the economy that Obama inherited. This is how they're acting. But this is how it works throughout society. I was talking to some friends today, and my point was, let's stop pretending that they're not two sets of rules, or let's stop being quiet about there being two sets of rules, because that's our biggest thing. Sure, we went through the 250 some years of slavery, and then another 100 years of Jim Crow, and then we finally got what was called some civil rights. Okay, and these civil rights gave us what? During the fight for those civil rights, we lost many of the civil rights leaders. Malcolm, Martin, Evers, Kennedy Boy, Freedom Riders, War Against the Black Panthers. I posted everyone should watch the Eyes on the Prize. It's about 8 videos on YouTube from 1955 to 1975, which is considered the Black Civil Rights era. It should be mandatory that you see it. You should want to see it. No one should have to tell you to look at it. You should want to see it. That's how deep it is. It should be required, because then maybe we wouldn't have these problems like we have now with so many Negroes. And this one discussion I had today. If you got money, why are you scared to speak up? I was talking about Tiger Woods and how I was just so disgusted at him for, falling in line. Okay, you got busted cheating. All the dudes you hang out with do the same thing. They start pulling the sponsorships. Amazing. Because this man has some personal things that, okay, we're going to pull his sponsorships because he's not portraying what we think he should be portraying. That's a good American. It's funny when you go to Vegas and you see all these pretty young ladies and you see all these old dudes. They're not their daughters. They're doing the exact same thing as Tiger, but everybody's got to get their nigga card because he's Caucasian or whatever he said. Why couldn't he just stand up? I mean, Tiger had about 60 million already in the bank. Why could he not come on TV and say, you know, I did some things. Me and my wife are working through it. Appreciate y'all respecting that. Deuces. Didn't make a difference. We're immediately going to start pulling your crap, nigga. That's what they do for black players. But white players, Rothenberg had like 6 rape case allegations, and Brady and everybody, they never pull sponsorship. How many sponsorships did O'Reilly lose by talking about black people for years? Didn't lose a single sponsorship. They let it go on for forever. So it's not just about Kaepernick. It's about the second set of rules in America that are there to keep you in place. Now, I understand what a lot of people are talking about when they're like, oh, well, what we gonna do? They own everything. They, you know, they're allowing people to make this money. I tell people, look at it a different way. If 75% of the team is black and you wouldn't watch a game that had only white players in it, that looks like leverage to me. If there's not enough black owners, then that's a problem. And a lot of these people just didn't become owners yesterday. A lot of these ownerships were handed down through the years. That's how a lot of them bought the teams or had the teams. They were just generationally passed down. I was looking up NFL owners today on Wikipedia, and they had a list. Let's see if I can pull it up. I should have already had it pulled up. I apologize. But they had a list of the owners, and as you went down the list, there's a little symbol. This is the part that I like at the bottom. That it says family ownership of clubs have been passed on by split by descendants or previous owners. This old money. When we talk about America and the way money is generated, this race thing that they keep us talking about is just a distraction. We're going to keep y'all in just enough position where you're distracted by the way we're treating you while we're over here making money. Nigga, if I give you 10 million, I'm making 100 million. That's how it goes. And all these owners are white. All the NFL owners are white. That doesn't strike a chord? Oh, well, you can't start another league. Yeah, you can. Why can't you? All these black people that have some money that want to have a team that are strategically blocked out by these owners, by the rules and regulations of America, corporate America. Why can't all the black people get together and say, let's donate some money, let's crowdfund, let's get enough money to build the stadium? Oh no, then you got to compete with the NFL. The NFL is not going to exist no more. Well, how you going to stop black people from going over there and trying to get the bigger money? Because that's where the internal meetings come in at. That's when the comeback brothers come in at. That's when it's bigger than you comes in at. That's where we hate to disown you, brother, come in at. It's not going to be an easy walk for you, brother, if you do that. This is about generations to come 100 years from now. That's what not watching the game is about. And these aren't the only businesses that these guys have. Are you serious? That's just one business thing that they're doing. But they're making billions of dollars. I'm still going to pray and hope that on opening day, they do the national anthems, flip the coin, and line up to kick off, and then everybody just sits down. And nobody does nothing. And they just let the TV run for hours and hours and hours. And nobody plays the game. That's what a real protest looks like. What you gonna do? All these guys got enough money where they ain't about to starve today. If you got your minimum $2 million contract, you good. The problem comes in when you get this money, and this is it's our problem. That's why I said it must be the money, because you get this money, and you've coming from down here, and now you feel like you're up here, but that's just the ploy, because now we're going to get you to buy all this stuff, and all this stuff costs money, and we give you the credit to get this stuff, so now you got to pay for this stuff because credit is actually debt. How you going to pay for all this shit? See, they know you ain't thinking like that. Majority of the sports players wind up broke 3 to 5 years after they played and made all this money, because they've wasted most of it. You don't see too many broke white players. They save that money from day one. They stack it up. They invest it. They ain't impressed with flash and all this other type of stuff. These are the distractions of the world. I was talking to some people today about racism is this distraction, while you got people like Warren Buffett. You know, I can't hate the man. He out here, he making money. But this dude just pulled off an incredible deal. Your man Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, real estate. That's where a lot of the money is in this country. Nets $11.5 billion from a Bank of America deal. When Bank of America was screwing everybody over and messing over everybody, Buffett's firm pulled the trigger on a 2011 option deal that lets it buy 700 million shares at a 70% discount to the share prices. All for bailing out the bank when it was facing questions about its soundness. This dude did a player move. I'ma look out for you. We got you. What you need. Gave him that Godfather line. I don't know when I'm going to call you, but when I call you. It's just like legal? Yeah, it is legal. They out here legally making deals, making monies, and we over here talking about the football game. This man just, for a $500 million investment, was it $5 million? Yeah, for $500 million, he now has netted $11.5 billion. $11.5 billion. And that money just gonna go right on, getting passed on to his people. I'm not calling Warren Buffett a racist. I'm calling him a part of America that continues to grow while you're down here at the bottom. You can't even afford the stock at 80% discount. Look at him smiling. But this bank made all these illegal loans and all these other things that were part of the crashing of the market. The same market that got bailed out, the same market that gave white people greater refinance rates than black people. More black people lost their homes and never got back to their homes. White people were refinanced at a lower rate. Pretending that we're going to help you out, but didn't help you out. Stringing borrowers along and then taking their homes. Refusing to prevent foreclosures even when it is good for homeowners and investors. These are just some of the things they did. Neglecting vacant properties. Exorbitant bonuses. Giving people bonuses that up ridiculous stuff. But as long as you go along with the program, you're going to get your bonus, Jake. Fuck them niggas. Do what you got to do, Jake. This is how the system works. So, you know, there are two sets of rules. So why do we keep playing the game? Nobody wants the fresh deck. I had the discussion of the Constitution needs to be rewritten. Oh no, we don't want to rewrite the Constitution, because if you rewrite the Constitution now, you got to be fair to everybody. See, because when you wrote that, you really weren't trying to be fair to Negroes. We were slaves. All your presidents were slaves. Slave owners, not slaves, slave owners. That was the law of the land. So all these institutions that were built on the backs of slaves, all these people that made all this money, the Rockefellers, who were part owners in J.P. Morgan, all these banks, Wells Fargo. I'm just naming out some of these companies now that are the top in America. Walmart, Microsoft, General Electric, Apple. As we said, Warren Buffett. It was weird. I saw the article, and then I went out walking in Lincoln Park here in Chicago, and everywhere I looked, I saw a Berkshire and Hathaway sign. In influence areas selling major real estate. You're not going to see Berkshire and Hathaway selling small properties in the hood. That's beneath us. We just made $11.5 billion while y'all broke ass can't even stand up for each other and support one another and build your neighborhoods. Our neighborhood's good over here. We good over here. We got cake over here. But we got y'all distracted over here. They could really care less if we stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Just don't bother my money, nigga. They could care less about us protesting. Okay, y'all been protesting for what? Shit, 100 years? We still ain't gave you nothing. We still got your politicians saying, okay, it's got to be patient. It's going to take a little time to get it through. Right. We've been patient for years. And you got this much progress. So stand up for the flag and thank America for letting you get this much. When everything was built on the back of America, on your back, and you got nothing from it. Your ancestors got nothing from it. So the ancestors don't owe you anything, but you owe the ancestors everything, because we at the point where we don't even give a damn about our ancestors, because they fought for us to have an opportunity to do something, and we ain't doing nothing. We surviving off individuality success. 32,000 corporations in America. 32,000, and out of that 32,000, I think 170 of them are black. So we all can't work for the black corporations, and they aren't gigantic corporations. it's almost like you can't win and you don't want to fight. And most of us don't have to fight. Most of us don't have that vision of, I'm going to support this because I think it's good for my people. So it's building. This no NFL is building where everybody's going out to buy their jerseys, because it comes down to a whole lot of things that we shouldn't be doing. Don't buy the jersey. Don't go to the game. Don't watch the game. There was a report out a few weeks ago. They were just totally upset because, white people less are going because there's not a whole lot of white folks out there on the field to see. I think we're in a perfect position. Doesn't make a difference. I know a lot of people think, "Well, this dude's tripping. I'm not going to miss my game for Kaepernick." You're not missing the game for Kaepernick. You're missing the game for your people. This is how revolution starts, by having a revolutionary type of thought in your head that says, I'm going to do something different. There's this part in the Willie Lynch letter, and I want to read it to you because it was so enlightening. It wasn't enlightening, because I hadn't read it a couple of times, but it said something to you, and it spoke of that there would have to be I'm gonna scroll down the list because I want to give you the exact wording to it. Everything's so small on the internet, and I'm blind with these bifocals. From one form of life to another, that is, we reduce these from their natural state in nature. I'll read the whole paragraph because you can't just start reading in the middle. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby, nigger boy. Second, we will use the same basic principles that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. What we do with the horses is that we break them from one form of life into another, and this reduces them from their natural state in nature. Whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offsprings, we break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status. This is what was done to us. They created a dependency status in us where I have to depend on master. There's no other way for me to make it. That wasn't the one I wanted to read. This is the one I want to read. For fear of the young male's life, and he's speaking of women, she will physically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be the same. What have you got? Excuse me, to be independent. What have you got? You get the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. So the roles are reversed. And it happens all the time because most of these players, football players and such, are raised by their mothers. It's their mothers at the games on the sidelines. Who knows where their father's at? They may be in jail. They may just not be in their son's life because they're living that part of society that was created in them that punishes them. And yeah, you independently you can get up and you can go to school and you can make something for yourself. You can do that. But what they did here by putting the woman out front and giving her this whole thing, they changed her nature. So her nature isn't as nurturing as it used to be. And she's beholden to him, and she wants you to be beholden to him. Because after all, Master is giving us an opportunity to live a great life here if we shut the fuck up and do what he say. There's a line here that says, this is a perfect situation of sound sleep in economics. Sound sleep economics. I'm going to give you just enough to survive, to make you dependent on me, that you will never try to revolt against me. He says in the letter, before the breaking process, we had to be alertly on guard at all times. Now we sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early slave molding process. He is now a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. And by the time this boy reaches 16, he is soundly broken and ready for a lifelong, sound and efficient work and reproduction of a savage into a frozen psychological state of independence. Now, here's the part that really kills you. And by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. And unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female slaves, we show that what we mean by example is we've permanently put you in this position. I think we talked once about the male ego and how guys get in a lot of fights and shooting and killing each other because they think they're acting from a masculine point. But shouting at things, that's not a masculine point. That's an emotional point that they've adapted from their females, from their mothers, most likely, who have, or the women around them that they see react to a lot of stuff in an emotional sense. So she's the one, I'm proud of you, baby. And he's like, my mother has been there for me. My father has not been there for me. One of my friends said today, I learned nothing from my father. That's what he said. He didn't learn. We were talking about if you are married or live in the house with a woman and there are kids that are not your kids, those are your kids and you treat them as such. You do not make differentiations between children that are in your home. If you are the male head of the house, these are all your children. You are responsible for all the children equally. He said, my father never told me anything like that. He said, but I dated a woman one time, and she actually felt like that. She felt like I should take care of my child and these other kids. I know it sounds crazy and it's messed up, but if you live in the house, this is what is required. If you don't live in the house, then just take care of your kid. But if you live in the house, and you're taking the leadership role, then as a man, you have to, this is your responsibility. You are responsible for the house. A lot of brothers don't understand it, and a lot of sisters still don't understand it. I think I made that comment before. It does make a difference how much money you make, sister. If this is the man that you have chosen to marry and stood before God and said, hey, this is the man that God has given to me, I think he's of sound mind and of sound judgment. I can get along with this. I can let him be the man. I can let him be in a leadership role until he shows me otherwise that he can't be in a leadership role. And it doesn't mean that he does one thing and then you're like, oh well, he can't be in a leadership role. a lot of the manhood of the world is being taken away, the black manhood, because in every other house, the white man is the leader of the house, the Hispanic man is the leader of the house, you know, the Jewish man is the leader of the house. In China, the Chinese man is the leader of the house. It's just really in our communities that we're not the leader of the house. And that's another part that was done to us in slavery. So this why it makes it hard for us to stand up. Because you've been conditioned not to stand up. You've been conditioned to go along. You've been conditioned to swallow the bullshit. Because after all, everybody just wants this check, right? And then you can come home and you can talk about master like they used to talk about master in the slave quarters. But that didn't change their position. Didn't move them nowhere, didn't get them nowhere. So what we doing? Are we selling out for a little money just to survive? Or are we thinking about how our grandchildren are going to live? How we going to continue to live in this country that has plainly said we'd rather put a racist in the White House and give him all the credit for nothing than to stand behind a black man, educated, that pulled us out of the worst economic crisis since the Depression. 2 sets of rules, black people. And until there's 1 set of rules, we shouldn't play by 2 sets of rules. Love, peace, soul. We out of here.
Well, alright. Yeah. You know, ever since I turned pro in 1989, when I signed the dotted line, it was strange. Those things changed for the better and for the worse. So I called my mama and she said, baby, must be the money. Yeah, 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 yeah. Must be the money. It's got to be, cause I got people wanna be my friend. People I never knew. People I never thought about associating with. I don't know what it is. Talk to me. Check it out. I've been relaxed with gators on my feet. I got some pepper every day of the week. My hair is done, my fingernails too. 6 buttons down and I don't know what to do. Must be the money. Must be the money. It's turning them on. Must be the money. Must be the money. You know I can't go wrong. Must be the money. Must be the money. That keeps me looking cold. Must be the money. Must be the money. Got me rolling on the stroll. Limousine, in first class I fly. I'm living large and you know I can't deny. My drop top Benz and I'm with my lady friends. My truck is 6'4" with my homies making it. Must be the money. Must be the money. Got me riding so tough. Must be the money. Must be the money. I can't get enough of all the money. Must be the money. These women fall in love. Must be the money. Must be the money. When I'm kicking it at the club, flashing lights on the dance floor. The DJ says my name as I make my intro. The place is packed, nowhere to find a seat. But prime no worry, cause I sit in VIP. Must be the money. Must be the money. I got so much juice. Must be the money. Must be the money. 26 with all this loot. Must be the money. Must be the money. To afford the way I live. Must be the money. Must be the money. Players ballers at my crib. 85 acres with a mansion on my land. Full jacuzzis and my neighbors can't stand. money change you. Because personally, it's gonna change my address, my phone number, my wardrobe. Hey, my snakeskin shoes gonna change into gators. Hey, my library card gonna change into credit card.